Cleveland's had a bad offseason, and it's getting worse because now the report is, or reports are, that Kyrie Irving went in, talked to management, and would like to be traded. Joe Vardon's been working on this story, doing great work for Cleveland.com, covering the Cavs, and he joins us now. Joe, how did this information get leaked in the first place? Do we have any idea the source or sources?
Yes. I'm not telling you.
Oh, okay. All right. But at least you know. Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. Why would somebody leak it?
Well, I think even to answer that, I think would put various people in compromising situations. But, you have to remember that this was a meeting between Kyrie and Kyrie's agent and Dan Gilbert and ownership, and that's where the meeting started. So at some point, Dan or the people who work for Dan, shared this information within the organization. And I'm not even sure that Kyrie expected that. So, things happened from there. And I really think, that Kyrie went into this probably expecting that this conversation be totally, between them. And yet at the same time, after they had it, Dan and the front office began to quietly try to put together trade scenarios. So, I don't know how long Kyrie could have reasonably expected this to remain quiet, and it just so happened that it broke while he was on his goodwill tour with Nike, which wasn't ideal for him.
Okay, but why does he want out?
So, you guys only have a finite amount of time between, breaks here. It's a very long story. It gets into trying to understand just who Kyrie Irving is and what he sees for himself. He wants out because he feels he is ready to be the focal point of a franchise, and he knows that is not going to be the case this year in Cleveland. That's the simple answer, but obviously, there's so many yeah buts and what ifs and whys, and it's really a fascinating case.
But Joe, if the consensus is LeBron's not going to be there more than one more year, then wouldn't Kyrie Irving inherit the team, and then it would become his team and he would be the man?
Right, Dan, and I'm glad you said that, because that is, to me, that is the biggest misnomer out there.
Okay.
When you talk about this whole Kyrie-LeBron thing. Kyrie and his visions for his career have nothing to do with what LeBron James is going to do next year or not in terms of Cleveland. If it did, then you could only surmise that Kyrie kind of sees LeBron staying in Cleveland, because otherwise he knows he'd be inheriting a team where he could have the supermax, make over $200 million a year, or not a year, excuse me, but over the life of a contract. They could build a team around him, like all that stuff. And he knows that it's 1 year away, a year after where he would go to his fourth straight finals, maybe win. As we all know, once you get there, you never know. And instead, he's walking away from all of that. Why? It's because of what he sees for himself and what he wants to do for himself beyond but beyond just getting to another finals and staying with LeBron and winning games in Cleveland. There's more to the picture for him.
Well, you did bring up something interesting that maybe there is this feeling now or Kyrie feels that LeBron is staying in Cleveland, that would add to his exodus, that, I would be able to stay. That would be the logical way to become the man, but maybe he feels like LeBron is going to stay in Cleveland. We've heard the contrary.
Right.
Why do we assume LeBron is going to leave?
Well, I don't. I do not assume he's going to leave. I say always that it is, I'm careful here, but it is more likely than not that he stays. Is there a chance that he leaves? Absolutely. Is there a chance he leaves? Absolutely there is. Does he know what he's going to do? He does not. Does almost all of this depend on how good the Cavs are this year and what happens in the finals? Is it close? Do they make it there to begin with? All that, yes. But, you know, LeBron has only said publicly that he would finish his career here, and he knows that there would be some backlash to going against that. And he also, you know, the contract matters to him. Not in terms of the money, as far as like, I need to have this, you know, $209 million deal for my bank account, but in terms of legacy. You know, there was a reason that he congratulated Steph Curry when Steph signed his $201 million deal. And it's not because they're buddies. It's because, you know, LeBron sees, you know, he sees things that are legacy builders, and being able to sign the single largest contract in history, you know, even Harden's contract for 227 or 8 or whatever it is, that's an extension, and the extension is worth like 175. So this would be the single largest one-time contract in history that LeBron signs this summer. That matters to him too. A bunch of other stuff matters to him as well. And again, there is a chance he leaves, but I don't believe that we should assume that he leaves right now.
Talking to Joe Vardon, NBA reporter for Cleveland.com, covering the Cavs. Is there a chance, what's the likelihood that the Cavs start the season with Kyrie Irving in the backcourt?
I mean, I just don't see it. I don't see I don't see how that happens because of, you know, I think just the raw feelings that are around everywhere, you know, with LeBron, with Kyrie, with the opportunity that now exists to change the team. You know, they obviously felt going into this offseason that they wanted to try to change this team. They tried to do it by trading Kevin instead of Kyrie, but they want to try to get younger. They want to acquire some pieces that they feel they need to go after the Warriors. You would think Kyrie would fit into that, but if they can move him to get some of these pieces that would help, that is what they want to do, and they are, you know, confident that they can. You know, the other thing is how LeBron feels about this. He obviously was upset. You know, not only that, you know, every source talking to, whether it was me or to Brian Windhurst who broke the story or whoever, all the sources indicated that. And then, of course, LeBron, you know, did his Instagram post with that song and all that stuff. So he was really upset about it then. It would be hard to imagine that you would bring Kyrie Irving back and make them play together in that awkward situation if LeBron's really upset. You know, there's time to bury the hatchet, sure, but I see them making a move.
Are you going to get dollar for dollar now that you know that Kyrie wants out? If I'm a team and I'm going to trade for Kyrie, am I giving you full value for Kyrie Irving? This isn't similar to Paul George, but Paul George saying, look, I'm not going to sign here. I want to go to the Lakers eventually, whatever you do with me. Here's Kyrie saying, I want to be the man. So how much are the Cavaliers going to get in return for Kyrie Irving?
Well, they would and should get a great deal in return for him. And they do reserve, you know, I understand what I just told you on the answer before, but they do reserve the right to not trade him and wait for the right deal that comes along. But there are going to be good deals out there now that they can get. You know, when you talk about dollar for dollar, you know, full value, I think in some ways that's hard to determine. I mean, Kyrie is a 4-time All-Star. He's a killer in the clutch. He's virtually unguardable. But some of that stuff happened with, you know, like, see, he came into his own in some ways playing alongside LeBron. So he's not a great defender. You can get players who obviously aren't as skilled offensively as him, but can be better defenders if you want to go the point guard route. I know they just signed Rose. Or you can get somebody, maybe try to get somebody like an Andrew Wiggins or somebody who is young, plays a different position, but could be really good for a really long time and could give you other things that you don't have in trying to keep this final streak together.
It's amazing. Were they getting Derrick Rose no matter what was happening with Kyrie Irving, or is this a reaction to the Kyrie Irving situation?
See, Dan, that's hard. I don't know what to believe there because, you ask people close to Derrick, did you know that this whole Kyrie thing was coming down when the Cavs started these discussions? And the answer is no. But if the Cavs knew about Derrick Rose on July 7th, which is what is being reported, then that is virtually impossible to believe. It just is. And so now, if it was always about winning for Derrick, certainly it's obviously not about the money because he took the minimum. Then you could say, yeah, he was coming to Cleveland no matter what. But the combination of, a chance to win and starting on the Cavs, I think would be way too much to pass up. So it's hard to answer that.
Good stuff, Joe. Going to stay busy the rest of the summer, that's for sure. We appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me.
That's Joe Vardon, NBA reporter, Cleveland.com.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.